Hey, how you doing? Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Brian here from quantlabs.net. Just want to talk about this running post I've been putting together over the last 2-3 days. Basically, it's a video of various segments. Basically, what it is, it's one of the hairiest things I've ever done. Whacking in the weeds, as I like to call it. Linux development in C, and hopefully you've seen my Java demonstration of the interactive brokers, TWS, pushing market data into Redis. Now, the other end of it is a little trickier. Why? Because it's C fun stuff. So what I've got is various, we'll call them work in progress. This is 5 segments, and it's about a 45-minute video. It's not much to it, but I just thought I'd give you the intro. Okay, so the first segment is when you generate a Simulink cogeneration model, you need to find an entry point. So I have a little mini video on that. Upon that, I then discovered in the second segment that instead of using the ERT target from within Simulink, you can use ERT, which gives you more options, which enables you to work with main functions, and you can have better ideas where your entry point of the code is, and also go through some other configuration advancements with those other additional options. Now, the other thing is the struggle of good IDEs, integrated development environments. I thought Netbeans would be a good one. Unfortunately, it is a good one, but the problem is that you've got to basically only can have one running session of Netbeans within Linux or probably even Windows as one user. So the other option was to use maybe like a root user as a separate Netbeans option or a Netbeans session. That's not going to work. So there's going to be conflicts. It just gets confusing. So there's that as a hindrance, an issue you call it. Also, one of the nice things in the world of C is the make files are not fun to play with. There is a decent tool. I show you how to go through it on how to create a make list file that can be used with the HiRedis data binding library in an H file, and that will actually create your make file for you. So I show you how to do that. And finally, I do get a working version of a basic one on the command line, where I was able to get a HiRedis C demo retrieving data from Redis. So that works out of the gate. And then finally, with the struggles of all the IDEs I went through, including Netbeans, Eclipse, full of bugs as usual. Nothing has changed in that IDE. But anyways, I got it up and running lickety split with Codeblockss, that IDE, and there I show you a demo of the C retrieving the Redis with the merged co-generated Simulink model stuff. So it's all there. But then you run into other mysteries called segment faults. So that will do what they call a core dump, and basically the program will bomb. So these are the wonderful joys of C development. Doesn't matter if it's Windows or Linux, but Linux is probably tougher. So I put all these together, all the struggles I wanted you to learn and take away hopefully some good lessons from on the struggles that I've been going through, and hopefully I'll get to a point where I'll get it working. But for now, it looks like I'll be using Codeblockss as my preferred IDE in Linux. It's free and it's on SourceForge. Talk to you later. Enjoy the video. If you've got questions, comment away. Hey everybody, Brian here from quantlabs.net. Just wanted to show you something very, very important. When you come into your Simulink models that you want to co-generate to, let's say, C, in this case I've got the last price, which is supposed to be part of the Karen SuperTrader Simulink model. When you come under code and then the options, for cogeneration options, you generate code. You'll typically, I've shown this many times, you get your diagnostic viewer. In there, what needs to, when you're starting out, I would highly recommend you to do this. If you come under options, you'll get report, click on create cogeneration report, okay? And this is what you'll find. This is really important to understand. When you go through your report that's generated, come under here under summary, what you'll notice here is there's a few things that you should pay attention to. First, you want to look where your entry points are, and these are them. So we have here the function last price, in my case 2_initialize, and we also have here last price 2_step. We also have to understand is that you call this exactly once, and then this one gets called, which is being fed basically the inflow data. It's going to be called every 0.2 seconds. I think you could probably increase that, but you need to know this to know where to call from your client C code to call this co-generated library or set of calls or set of C files and header files. So just want to point that out, all right? Hey everybody, Brian here, quantlabs.net. Okay, so what you're looking at right now is a Simulink model that I pieced together for the so-called Kieran super trader with the Bollinger. I've shown this before in a previous video. What I'm going to focus on is the cogeneration options. Okay, so you come under cogeneration options, and what will happen is it will bring up my parameters, which is right here. Now, there's a couple of things I want you to realize. I've got another segment where I've changed the system target file from the original one that I've been working on over the last while was this GRT generic real-time target. But instead I'm actually using now the ERT target. And I want to show you the differences that you get in options with this target. It's a lot more than the GRT target. Let me just do this. So if I load in the GRT target, you'll see the number of options is not as great as the ERT, and they're very important options to be included. So I got the embedded coder target, and here we are. Okay, first big difference is the comments. There's a report as well. I'm not going to get into all the traceability is really important for anybody new at this process, but you can do it in other ways in the comments in the generated code. So if I click on all the necessary objects that I want for stateflow, for Simulink, data, block it, descriptions, even the MATLAB functions help text, very useful to have right in your C code. I just leave these symbols for default. You have, I've introduced the custom code that you can also include anything else for maybe data flow or for that library I've shown for the fix. You could somehow include in here, also include any generic code to connect into and maybe load in data from your Redis environment. I'm not doing that here. TLC we're not going to worry about, interface we're not going to worry about, verification we don't really worry about. Once you start moving into things like FPGA with the HDL, hardware description language, I think that's where you need to worry about stuff like that. So I'm just going to keep all these options as default, but you can see there's a lot of options and control that you have here. So if I go back into the build, so we're just going to create a C. We're using the Microsoft Visual Studio tool set to compile, but hopefully you've seen my other one options that I've done in Linux with the GCC, and that does work. So let's apply and build. Okay, so typically you'll see our diagnostic viewer. Hopefully it's doing something here. Let me just see if the models okay, let me just try this again. Okay, let me just clean up this environment here. We're going to do build. Okay, so it looks like something's happening. Alrighty. Okay, maybe I gotta go OK and come back in or something like that. As you know, I'm fairly new at Simulink. Cogeneration Options. We're gonna build. Okay. Maybe it's building, I don't know. Good day, everybody. My name is, of course, Brian Downey. I'm going to introduce you to CMake, a building process that you can use to create make files in C or C++. There is this important tutorial that I've discovered. I'll walk you through the basics of CMake and how to create your CMake file. What I've done is I've followed all the instructions in something like this and created my own CMake in Linux once you've got it installed. So here is the basically the guts of the CMake. I'll include all these files in my for my Quant Labs elite members. Okay, so make life easier for them. So what you're going to be doing is you are going to create a very simple text file called cmakelist.txt. Oh, first let me show you the structure that I've followed. So if you come in, you'll notice in the Karen C with Redis, this is just a sample. This is Karen SuperTrader basic template or model I'm going to integrate with my Simulink trading model that's co-generated into C, as well as eventually get it working with Redis and actually reading from a Redis server instance of all the data. So just as the basics for now, what I'm going to show you is the CMake list file. So if you look at the tutorial I just had here, it will pretty well walk you through the entire process. It's pretty simple. And what this author's done, he's segregated out 3 directories. We have a build down here, the build directory, we have a include directory, and we have a source directory. So what I ended up doing was, when you get your code-generated source files, I manually copy them all into the appropriate directories. So these headers here have been manually moved over into this directory. Now, part of the process that does not get included is this one, RTW continuous and RTW solver. So you have to manually copy those into your directory as well, into your include directory. I'll show you where you get those in a little bit. Also, you have your C files that I've also, again, manually copied into this SRC or source subdirectory. Now you'll notice here I've got the ERT main.c. So I am using the ERT target during the Simulink code process. Okay, just making sure you got that. And then of course we have the build directory. Now this is the really important part. What happens when you go into your CMake, I'm just going to do a crash course here for you. Very beginning, you need to ensure, very first example, you type in just CMake right here, and it will make your makefile and all that good stuff automatically. Okay? Following these instructions, that should help you understand the process that's needed. So essentially, when you have your CMake, let me just see where I'm at. Go up one directory. This CMake directory, when you run CMake, it will create all these additional files under your CMake files. Or actually, sorry, under your build. So if you run your CMake under your build, you should be in good shape, because what will happen is it will make your makefile automatically, which is nice because that's a real pain. But with CMake, it makes life a lot easier. So that process automatically gets run, okay? And again, if you follow these instructions, I'll walk you through the entire process. It's really straightforward. It gives you the list of files and blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's not that difficult. Once you get your makefile created, then you can use your IDE. In my case, I was originally going to use something called C-Line, and then I thought, hey, I've had some moderate good successes with Netbeans, and I thought, why not create or try to integrate C or C++ development in my current Netbeans that I have here, which I'm already using for Java, but I'm also now including is my C++, C. So there's a very good tutorial I've just posted on how to create and how to convert, configure your Netbeans 8.0, which I got 8.0.2. Follow these instructions here. Very simple. That you'll be able to install your plugin for the C or C++ category when you create new projects. Very cool. Okay, so what I've done is I've created a new C project. This is just for testing purposes, not really following the path under the Netbeans projects directory. I just wanted to try it out. So because I've got my CMake file, not only that, but I've got my make file, I can basically make my file in Netbeans. You can see it's already successful. And at the same time, under test model, which is the name of the file here, if you go under, that's what I called it. Again, if you follow, we want the CMake text file. So if you follow those instructions as I showed you, you will find that, yeah, maybe I have it already somewhere. Hang on here. Where's my CMake file? There it is. This is the one I created. So I'm going to open up with gedit. What you'll notice here again, if you follow that tutorial, this is the name of the bin file, the executable. Okay, that's going to be the executable name. So that's what's created here in Netbeans. So I can now run it. So the default option goes is running. Awesome. So that's the final output on the model as is. But now I'll be able to go into my code and start integrating Netbeans, or sorry, integrating the Redis calls in the actual source code. And that will take place probably here, because I know that is with the ERT target from Simulink, it's very simple now to understand. Is you have a endless loop here where we can, I think you can embed your call to Redis, and then you can start feeding the latest data you get from Redis, namely your time series and data, price, and all that I've shown before in the interactive brokers. Submit, and then you'll be able to make your call to Redis, to the server instance, parse the data, and then feed it into the actual code-generated model. Okay? So I'll create a entire video around that. Okay? So, but I just wanted to show you how to set all this up for now. Brian, yet again. So I've shown you how to basically include or be able to run and get to the hooks of where the Simulink model is. I have it right here in I have it here in the ERT main, which is about where am I? I think we are, no, we don't want that. We want it here. Yeah, so I've included this printf right within where the model will reside, and I know that from the traces of back to the Simulink model, which is all this code-generated stuff. So here I can embed, or even up here, I could probably embed the Redis calls to be able to get the latest data, and then retrieve them from the Redis server instance. But before that, we need to I need to walk you through the process of the client code, or the code that binds from C into Redis, which is the HiRedis. Now I've shown you in a past video how to embed HiRedis. Usually when you're working with C, there's a bunch of libraries or files you'll need to include in your makefile. So we have the library, which is the lib HiRedis. That's so it can be included in your link process. We also have the HiRedis header file that it needs to be defined within your source file. So I haven't checked any of this stuff yet. But what I've done is, let me just show you in the previous version or the previous video segment. What I've done is I've included this HiRedis into the KRNC with Redis header here, manually copied it in. Also in the include, no, yeah, that's correct, in the include, and I've also included in the build folder here as well the library, the lib HiRedis library as well. Okay, so all this can be downloaded from the GitHub on HiRedis. So there's that. Okay, so what we gotta do is I've created a new, or updated the CMake file. Okay, and basically what I'm doing is I'm grabbing or modifying, but using from this previous tutorial, I'm using this particular listing number 6 as my role model. So this is a good exercise. Hopefully this can show you how to run CMake, and it'll update the make file for you. So let's try that out. Okay, in order to do that, it suggests that you run the CMake from within the build folder. So I don't know, I'm got my wrong terminal here. Let me just save this. Okay. So here we are. Just want to make sure. So what I've added here, this is the updated CMake list file. And what I've done is I've commented out the previous code that seemed to work okay, but from that previous tutorial I just showed you, we are adding the HiRedis, libHiRedis, and the link directory is going to be our current directory because we're going to build out of the build subfolder. Let's try that out. So let me just see where we are. So I'm going to go into the build directory. I'm going to try to run, I believe we just run cmake. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you got to run cmake dot, I believe. As you can see here, in the build, and then we're just going to run cmake. Let's hope that this runs okay. Let's try it out. Okay, this is where I break the video. Correct this error. Hey, Brian here. Just wanted to show you the corrections I had to make to this cmake file. We're in the build directory, as you can see. I'm just going to do a gedit cmake file list, I believe, txt. And this is the new additions I've added according to this tutorial here, and I've hinted at it. Listing number 6. I had to make some modifications. I've commented out some, as you can see here. I've enabled a file sources for global, so include all the source files from as originally in the original cmake file. Include all the cmake, C source files. I've also included a link directory that points to the libHiRedis library. I've now also specified where the link directories can be found, which are in the build. I've also included the include as well, where the directories are. So what we need to do is, once we've done the link or part of the process, we are now adding an executable with the source files. So this is basically the compile process right here. But we're going to include all the C source files in the source directory. On top of, we are going to link a new test model executable or bin file with wherever the link libraries exist, which is right here, and part of this. So don't forget, I have, let me just close this out. Don't forget that I'm running cmake from the build folder, okay? Let me just make sure. I just want to show you. Okay, so in the past, or in this previous session here, I went into the build directory, created cmake, or ran it, and I'll just do its regular spiel. And then the output is cmake dot. Okay, so again, that is the exact same set of commands I've done here. You go into the build folder, and then you run cmake from the parent cmake files, or the cmake list txt file I just showed you. Once you run that, the output means we're done. Configuration done, generating the make files done, and the build files are now created. So if I go back into my Netbeans here, hopefully I've got here 2 make files. I believe this will probably be the latest one. Let me just close out all these. We don't need that. So this should be our new make file. I haven't done this before, so I'll make a clean. Let me just try it. This may fail, but let me see what happens here. or yeah, here. Is this the one that we want? I believe that's the one. So let me just try that one. Make successful. Okay. And let's make clean. Let's hope that this runs. Make successful. Okay, so we're going to do a make. So that was successful. So I'm assuming we are okay. Now, as I said in my previous segment, I've added this at end of last price. So in this function here, which is part of the code-generated Simulink model, we do get this step function based upon the name of the model's name. So we have step, and I've just added in there this printf just to showcase that will work. So I think I've shown this before. All we're really doing in the main here is we're running the main, we initialize, we hit the warning of it being an infinite loop. What I've done is I've included the one-step RT one-step function, which leads me to here, one step here, and that will call our last price step. So once again, if you go to that last step price, that will include it will include the printf statement I just showed you. Where is it? Initialize, yeah, right here. So this is the place where I'll put my Redis code. So I'll do that in the next video segment just to showcase that we're going to set up the Redis, connect into the Redis instance, server instance, and then just retrieve what the latest Redis data. So we just so we can do that. We did the build, which was successful. So this is the new bin file or executable. So let me just run it, and there you go. So that is in an infinite loop exactly what we want, and that's what we can expect. So I'll make the next changes to add in the Redis call to load in or connect into the Redis server and then load in or get the latest data in a running Redis server instance. Hopefully that'll work out. Hey everybody, Brian here from quantlabs.net. I just wanted to show you something that's sort of working. If you go through these various 3 steps that I set up on setting up the Java Netbeans project with the interactive brokers, feeding into Redis. We got that working. I've shown that in a previous segment. This step here is very wonky. I would not recommend it, but I'll leave it in there just for kicks. But you do need to pay attention to this particular step. Originally, I was going to keep everything within Netbeans, but Netbeans is kind of good for Java and Java only. And I thought, okay, well, I'll use Eclipse. Specifically Eclipse CDT, C Developers Tools, and that would avoid this conflict between having 2 separate Netbeans sessions running 2 separate programs, which is not possible under the same user. So I needed to use a separate IDE, one for Java, one for C. So I originally was going to start with Eclipse. Well, that didn't go over too well because Eclipse, as usual, has just got bizarre bugs. I'm just not really willing to play around with. So what I did was, instead of Eclipse, I moved everything over to another IDE, Integrated Development Environment, called Codeblockss. So I'm going to show you how that runs. Got that running, no problem, fairly easily actually. This is the current version I'm about to show you. So if you come under here, you'll notice in the previous segment I showed you how it will interact and push the interactive data, interactive brokers data into the Redis. That's what it's been doing for the last while. But then there's also, and this is in Java, and then of course there is the C side. So I'm using Codeblockss here, 13.12, and I've set up a C program with the Simulink model. Now this model has been generated obviously by Simulink, but towards the end what I've done is it goes through an endless loop, and what it will do is it will basically display and pull the data, the last 10 rows from Redis. Now it seems to work up to a point, and it does what they call in the wonderful world of Linux and C a core dump, meaning it's a memory management issue which is not fun to find. But I'll run it up until that point, and we'll go from there. Alright, so like I said, I'm just trying to find my Redis Connect. Here. Okay, so in here, in the last price 2, which is continuously run, I got to further investigate this. But what this will do is it will run this step, and then it'll go through the co-generated conditions, and in the end what it'll do is it will run and connect all the latest data and retrieve it from Redis. I'm just trying to test out the capabilities of having the Simulink co-generated model with actual working Redis calls, specifically list ranges. Okay, so as I said, we have this connect Redis. Now I've shown this function before. I'm about to show you from the tutorial of this. All this is the same. Nothing really has changed, except I don't think anything changed, period. So what we're doing is we connect into our local host of Redis, and it will tell you if a connection has been made or not. And I'll just run the command lrange with the euro 010 we talked about. Then it will loop and display each element in the reply from Redis, number of results, which is always 11, and the number of seconds it takes to execute that. Now I'll do the first iteration. I'll create a block point, a breakpoint, somewhere around here, and let's run this. Okay, so I'm going to first run it. It's going to go through, and then it's running, retrieving all the data, and then somewhere along the line it will say right here, segmentation fault, core dumped. Not good, but it seems to be working up to that point. So somewhere along the line the memory management is really hairy and something's not playing nice. Let's go in and debug it. So here is our first, just see where we're at here. Okay, next line is what we want. Okay, so we're right here in the last price. So I'll get rid of that and then continue. Okay, I think we're here. Yes, we're here. Okay, so it's going to connect into Redis. So we just hit another breakpoint, same breakpoint. So we want a next line, next line. So here, when it does connect, it'll say connection made. That's into the Redis. So we're going to display here the connection. That's where the execution is, execution point. So here you can see connection to Redis. Alright, so now we're going to issue the lrange command to Redis. Now this is where it gets interesting. I can watch the replies. Where is my watch here? There's a view, watch reply. Okay. So you can see here we have our elements. Just rerun it again, next line. So now we have elements, not yet. Okay. So I believe somewhere in here it should hit our elements. And then you can hang on here. Just run that last line here. Okay, hang on here. Okay, next line. At printf 32. Why don't we do this? Run it again, but display a breakpoint right here. Okay, so let me just separate that out, relaunch. Okay, so we've now gotten to a point where we've connected into Redis right here, connection made. So now we are going to do a next line. Here's our first line that's retrieved from Redis. So on and so forth. So there's our second line and so forth. I'll do it 10 times. You just get to here. Alright, so everything's been displayed. Alright, so we're all good. Let me just finish up this one function. Now something tells me that our problem, what causes the core dump, will be these free reply records. But if I take out the breakpoint, there's one, so that's pretty well it. Using Codeblockss, not the other one, Netbeans itself, due to the conflict of not being able to run 2 Netbeans sessions as one user, that's one problem. The alternative was to use Eclipse CDT, but that's just full of bugs. But this Codeblockss seems to be behaving pretty well, except for the unfortunate code segmentation or core dump, which needs to be fixed. But I just wanted to show this to you, and I'll make this code available to all my members, even though it is faulty. But I'll give you a rough idea how to connect into Redis using C with HiRedis, the data binding library. All right, so hopefully this will help you out, and go from there.